All right, well, I'm going to begin. So today we're going to start talking about progressive presidents. Earlier in the year, you started touching on presidents one by one in order, and recently we've gone completely out of order with the Gilded Age. So now we're going to do 3 presidents in a row. We're going to do Theodore Roosevelt, we're going to do William Howard Taft, and then we're going to do Woodrow Wilson. And I broke technology. So these are the presidents between 1901 and 1920. They called them the progressive presidents. They wanted progressive reform. They wanted to tackle big business. Let's see. So the first president, Theodore Roosevelt, he takes power in 1901. He's the vice president. William McKinley gets assassinated. And now we have Theodore Roosevelt. So when he takes power in 1901, he's the youngest president in the history of the United States. Would someone want to read his famous quote for me? Go first.
Okay. A great democracy must be progressive, or will soon cease to be a greater democracy. Oh, also, Boston's trying to use slogans.
Yeah, he's doing it right now.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
No, that's exactly right. So in order for a great democracy must be progressive. Prior to this time, we've had a lot of laissez-faire presidents. Presidents have had a hands-off role with big business, big corporations, these robber barons. They've done whatever they want. They've exploited their workers, exploited resources. The government hasn't had any type of check on them. But now Theodore Roosevelt says no. The federal government, they have a role. They're going to step in and they're going to fight for change. Yes?
Will there be writing on this?
There's going to be writing. The only thing that I want you to write on this slide, write his name. Because the first couple slides, we're going to talk about Theodore Roosevelt, and then we're going to switch and talk about Taft. So everything, the next few slides are going to be under the heading Roosevelt. Next slide. So his campaign slogan in 1904, he came up with something called the Square Deal. Can I get a volunteer to read? Matt, go for it.
The labor union shall have a square deal, the corporation shall have a square deal, and in addition, all private citizens shall have a square deal.
So he thought that there should be, everybody should have an equal opportunity. It didn't matter whether you came to the United States from an immigrant background, didn't matter whether you were wealthy, it didn't matter what your situation in life was. You should have an opportunity to live the American dream. He thought that labor unions, corporations, and private citizens, they all had a place in society. Yes?
So this is the same Roosevelt who was a Rough Rider and so
Rough Rider. He's, do you remember his foreign policy? Mr. Rough Rider Roosevelt? Big stick. Big stick.
Because I got a question right on trivia because of Rough Riders. What? That's a trivia question this week with Rough Riders.
What do you mean?
I go to trivia on Wednesday night.
Where?
On U Street.
I've never heard that.
Nickname is, somebody tell me it again. So my brain's not working. Big stick. So, big stick foreign policy. And you want to call him the big stick? He's a big stick. Next slide.
Mercer, come here for a second, please. Come here.
And so, in addition to big stick, I want you to write down bully pulpit. So these are the two nicknames. When you think of Roosevelt, think big stick and think bully. These were the two things. He was not a mean person. He was a nice person. He stood up for the workers. What he did with the bully pulpit is he saw that the job of the White House, they were going to attack important issues. They were going to take on railroad trust. They were going to take on steel trust, coal trust. Basically, I should tell you, a trust is a monopoly. So all these monopolies across the United States that were exploiting workers, were exploiting everybody, he thought that they were unfair. So as president, he had the right to step in, and that's what the bully pulpit was. He becomes really famous for trust busting. So make sure you write that down. Yeah, trust busting. A trust is a monopoly. So he's going to go in, Mr. Big Stick Bully, and he's going to break up the trust. Another thing he does, coal strike in 1902. This is an example of him standing up for the workers. You remember earlier in the Gilded Age, when we learned about the homestead strikes, what happened when the worker tried to go on strike? Does anyone remember? Yes?
died.
Who died?
The worker.
Yeah, but like, so what did the big boss do?
They broke the militia.
Yeah, brought in the army. So this is totally different. The government, Theodore Roosevelt, he's gonna stand up, he's gonna stand with the workers, and he's gonna say, he's gonna get the coal bosses to come to Washington, the union leaders to come to Washington, and he's gonna force them to do something called arbitration. He said, if you don't come to a deal, I'm gonna nationalize the railroads. Does anyone remember arbitration? That was on your last test.
It's when two people are having an argument or debate, and then they bring in a fair person to have the impartial party.
Exactly. So he was arbitrating. He was helping make an agreement between the unions and the workers. Prior to that, it wouldn't have happened. They would have brought in troops, and so this is brand new. So everyone's got these?
No.
Question?
What's the most important thing?
The most important thing he did, I would say, so trust busting and then conservationism, which we're going to talk about in a second. And he was an imperialist of foreign policy. But if you remember big stick, bully, nature, you remember those three words, that's Roosevelt. All right, I'm going to go to the next slide. Is everyone okay? Next slide. So he's regulating the railroad. He does a couple things. Railroads, when they have monopolies, they can charge whatever they want. They can charge whatever shipping rates. He supports a couple bills. The Elkins Act of 1903. It puts a limit on the rates for shipping products. The more important one to remember, the Hepburn Act of 1906. It set a maximum railroad rate. So for instance, if I was going to go ride the Metro tonight, because it's Friday night, I want to go out, whatever, the Metro can't tell me that all of a sudden I have to pay $20 to ride the train. That wouldn't be fair. So they have to, so that's what Roosevelt said. The railroad company, they were charging whatever they wanted because they have a monopoly. He said, that's not fair, we're going to have set rates. Yes?
What does ICC mean?
International Commerce Commission.
We'll talk about the ICC a little bit later.
Yeah.
Down there. Like,
and this stuff, these ones you already learned about the other day, but remember with the jungle, Food Safety, Sanitation, Meat Inspection Act, this was all these things were progressive because they were helping citizens, they were helping American people. Next slide. Do you need another minute? Go back, please. Go back. Yeah. No. International Commerce Commission.
hey, Eric.
Yes.
Can you please
No, not till after, not till we start the activity. Okay, everybody good? No? Give me 10 more seconds. Nobody cares.
Hey guys, Roosevelt, without his support for all these progressive movements that we had, a lot of those movements probably wouldn't have gone through. And so he's really important to understand because of the things he chose to support, progressive movement was successful without his support as president. If we would have had a president that didn't care or believed the government should play a role in society, a lot of that progressive things we've been learning about probably wouldn't have happened. Does anyone understand? Somebody asked what was the most important thing he did. Drew, you asked, right? Didn't you ask what was the most important thing he did? It's probably just supporting the progressive movements that were going on in society. I think.
It's the opposite. So remember before, we've been studying the Gilded Age. Last year it was the Gilded Age. All the presidents, they were hands-off, laissez-faire. All of our presidents now, they're going to be hands-on, complete opposite. They're going to be progressive. They're going to want progress. What's in the name. So everything they're doing is progress for a better society, better everything else. Next slide, please. Okay, he was really into nature. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Yosemite, we wouldn't have the Grand Canyon, we wouldn't have, somebody throw out another park name.
Just,
Yellowstone. We wouldn't have any of that stuff because he adds 150 million acre to national forests. He starts the United States Forest Service. He appoints a guy named Gifford Pinchot. You need to know him because he's going to be important in a minute when we talk about Taft. But basically, he was very into the environment. He was an outdoorsman. He thought that the West was beautiful. We need to preserve all these, the natural character of the United States for future generations, so that even today we could go visit all these parks. So that was Roosevelt. He really cared about nature.
What do you need?
Conservation. Okay, real quick. So we're going to get to the end of Roosevelt's presidency. He takes office in 1901. He wins in 1904. In 1908, he decides, I'm not going to run for re-election. Next slide. He appoints his buddy. So he handpicks his successor. They're both in the Republican Party. The successor that he's going to pick, his name is William Howard Taft. You have a question? From the NATS game. I'm ready to go. Go back really quick.
Yes, I did.
So William Howard Taft, just a little bit about him. He's the largest president in the history of the United States. He was over 300 pounds. That's right. He got stuck in a bathtub. He got stuck in a bathtub, big guy. He had a small, bigger bathtub. William Howard Taft. Yeah, she'll look. All right, everyone, you are doing a great job. Just stick with me. We've got about 20 more minutes, so just stay focused. Next slide. No, not 20 more minutes. 20 more minutes until you get to enjoy this beautiful minute. So we have William Howard Taft and Roosevelt. Roosevelt handpicks his successor.
Can I tell you his nickname?
Yeah, what's his nickname?
They're maybe not the most flattering of nicknames. His first one was Big Love, L-U-V. His next one was Will Sleeping Beauty. And then the third one was Big Bill. Roosevelt nicknames. Rough Rider, the Cowboy Rough, and Ready TR, the Lion. So Roosevelt had a lot more flattering nicknames. Taft, literally his nicknames, according to presidentialnicknames.com. And then Woodrow Wilson, we're going to learn about this lesson too. His nicknames was the Professor and the Phrase Maker.
It sounds like he's.
So those are interesting.
Who made these nicknames?
I literally Googled William Taft's nicknames, and it's nicknamed
Alright, so we are into our next president, William Howard Taft. So remember, everything you wrote before was Roosevelt. Now everything you're going to write is Taft. Yes? Levy is to charge a tax. If I'm gonna, say the only way I'm gonna let you in the classroom is if you give me a stick of bubble gum. I'm levying a fee on you. If you don't give me gum, you don't get in the classroom. I'm levying a tax on you. Okay. You want to comment?
Okay, so, was this big fat guy married?
Yeah.
Khadijah. Everybody got married back then.
You might have had a good personality. Okay.
Wait, so you're William Taft as the head of the slide?
Yes. William Taft is the head of the slide. Okay, so there's going to be a split between the Republican Party. When William Taft takes office, Theodore Roosevelt, he thinks that he's just going to continue all of his policies of trust busting and conservationists and all the things that he fought for. He does some of them. He continues his work as a trust buster. He takes on, where's the guys? So he continues his work taking on monopolies. He gets a 16th Amendment passed. That granted Congress the power to levy taxes. So that's the good. The progressive, they still kind of like him. He's okay with Roosevelt. But in the next slide, you're going to see why they start to turn on him. Next slide. Okay.
Like, do you ever
The progressive, they start to not like him because of something called the Payne-Aldrich tariff. What a tariff is it's a tax they charge on imports and exports.
I mean,
The Payne-Aldrich tariff, it makes the cost of goods go way up. So the progressive, they think that he's kind of sold them out. So because of this, a lot of progressives in the Republican Party, they don't like him anymore. Another thing, the Bollinger-Pinchot affair. This has to do with conservationism, with nature. There's a big tract of land in Alaska. Alaska, this beautiful territory. A guy, this land, a bunch of land in Alaska is sold to mine coal on. Bollinger, who's the Secretary of the Interior at the time, he doesn't investigate, like there's this whole fraud case that goes on. Pinchot, Roosevelt's buddy, who was the director of Forest Service, he accuses Bollinger of sabotaging conservation. He criticizes this land giveaway in Alaska. And what Taft does is he fires Pinchot for insubordination. Roosevelt is extremely furious, the progressives are extremely furious. You're going to get a split Republican Party. So when Roosevelt, this time he's in Africa, he's hunting, he's going to come back to the U.S. prior to the election of 1912. And he decides, I'm going to throw my hat back in politics, I'm going to take back the Republican Party. So him and Taft are no longer buddies. He goes to the Republican National Convention and he says, basically he wants to win back the nomination and become president again. What do you think happens? Do you think that the Republicans choose him as a nominee? No. No. That's right. No, they don't. Because Taft is the incumbent, so it's really hard to get rid of the incumbent. It'd be like if Obama, after his first term, the Democrats decided to put a new president in midway through. It's hard to knock out the incumbent. So we have four parties. Can I go to the next slide? So we got the Republican split. Taft, this is going to be Taft. Taft is the incumbent. He's the current president. Theodore Roosevelt, he's furious. He's going to walk out of the Republican National Convention and he's going to found the Bull Moose Party, which has the silliest name in the history of politics. The Bull Moose Party. Remember like the bully pulpit? Just a nickname. So the Republican Party is split. Going into the election, there are two other big key parties. You have the Democrats. This is Woodrow Wilson. And then you have the Socialists. Yeah, if you want to write the candidates, it's good to know. So we're gonna go back in time to the election of Abraham Lincoln. I know you all learned about this. So in 1860, Abraham Lincoln is gonna win the election to be president of the United States with only 39.8% of the vote. Less than half. Does anyone remember why? Yes.
It was because there was a party of people that actually vote for, but they also split into two, and so some people would vote for one of them and the other one. But
That's
exactly
100% correct. Abraham Lincoln, he's a Republican. The Democrats, they're going to split. The issue of slavery was a big deal at that time in the United States. So they would split between the Northern Democrats and the Southern Democrats. If you look at what happened, if the Northern Democrats and Southern Democrats had combined their votes, 29.5, somebody do math in their head, 29.5 plus 18.1, what is that? 47. Is it more or less than 39.8? Okay, so do you see the Democrats, they lost the election of 1860 because they were divided. The exact same thing is going to pop its head up in 1912. Yes? Eugene Debs. He was a socialist. Yeah, he was earlier when we were talking about labor unions, he was the founder of the International Workers of the World. I think that's it. But he ran for president 5 times. IWW. So, all right. So in this election, the Republican and and Bull Moose Party split the vote. So the Republicans, let's see. So Taft is going to get 23% of the vote. Roosevelt is going to get